Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Field of 68's last call.
What's your go-to Applebee's order?
I don't go to Applebee's. We actually call it Crapplebee's, to be honest.
Who's the better team right now, Creighton, Marquette, or UConn?
What are you doing? What is that? Pray for fans. Oh, come on, Zach. Here we go. It's last call.
All right, it's not closing time, but it is last call here on Field of 68. We're here on Stadium on YouTube answering any and all questions you may have for the next 30 minutes. And I believe that Clemson game did just go final, 85-77. Clemson is certainly going to be ranked in the top 25, and they move to 6-0 on the season. Alabama will say goodbye to the top 25. Really have a little bit of work to do. So if you've got some questions, get them in the chat. We will answer them. Dagan will put them in to the sheet, and we'll get to them. All right, Josh, are you ready? And this is great because you didn't have 6 hours to prepare for these. I mean, this is all off the cuff. You know what I'm saying? This is straight up freestyle. So here we go. Of the current top tier teams, and he lists them: Purdue, UConn, Marquette, etc. Who actually wins their league? This is from music. It's a little confusing, but I'm going to throw it at you, Josh. Make some sense of it. Who of the top tier teams wins their league?
You know what? And right towards the end of the show there, I had mentioned there's Arizona and Purdue separated by everybody. I said Marquette and Kansas right underneath them, but a team I forgot to mention that should not be forgotten, which is an error on my part, is UConn, the defending national champions. I think they're really good. They just set a record of how many wins in a row of non-conference opponents, of double-digit wins. So my apologies to the UConn Husky faithful that I did not include you in that, because you deserve to be in there, because to me you're one of the five best teams in the country. Like I said, I think there's Arizona, Purdue. I think they both win their league. So Arizona wins the Pac-12, Purdue wins the Big Ten. I think Marquette, UConn is going to be a dogfight to win that conference. I mean, that is just a complete toss-up. And when that game is played in conference play, all eyes should be on that. And I think Kansas ends up winning the Big 12.
John, you want to weigh in on that one, bro? Do you have any strong
I love
opinions
you.
on those?
I think he's on point. I think Kansas wins the Big 12. I love UConn. You know, I think Tristan Newton is the most, underrated, maybe not talked about player in the country. He's averaging 15, 8, and 7 on one of the best teams in the country. So I love the UConn pick. Marquette, I'm not as high on as people, as most people. You know how I feel about Shaka Khan. Always, he's good in the role where he's not really looked at as the top tier, top guy. When he does get to that spot, for some reason, Marquette always lets us down. So I like how UConn's playing. They're playing with like a little championship swagger too, man. I love how they're playing. They look good.
Shaka Khan, bro.
Shaka.
And you know what? The other thing is, again, another team based on how they played tonight is Kentucky. We didn't talk on Kentucky probably about being a top tier team. I do think the two teams that are just separated themselves right now are Purdue and Arizona, and actually those two play against each other December 16th. That's going to be a heck of a game if they both continue to win. But those two teams are the best in the country. They got difference makers and their size and everything else. But I'm telling you, I really believe after those two, I just think there's a lot of parity amongst everybody around the country.
Yeah. Josh, do you have a Shaka Khan favorite song? Are you familiar with her work?
I'm not as familiar with
I will love you anyway, even if you cannot stay. There you go.
what I really like is Dolly Parton's new album. She has some great songs on her new album. She does a thing with Elton John. She did a thing with Paul McCartney. She did one with multiple different great artists. So if you haven't had a chance to listen to it, Dolly Parton has a great new album out.
That is hilarious. Dolly Parton, Shaka Khan.
Listen, man.
Queens.
Listen, Josh.
Queens.
Josh was talking. Hey, it's late. I'm sorry, it's late. Like,
No,
you know what I'm
I
saying?
loved
Like,
it actually. I think he needs to win in March, right, to justify being called his name. Until further notice, he's Shaka Khan.
Shaka Khan, Shaka Smart. Sorry, it was like a Freudian slip. My mom is a big Shaka Khan fan, so sorry, guys.
Hey, shout out to your mom, bro. Yeah, Shaka Khan's a legend. All right, moving on here. Coach Pastner, what was your record as a player when you got into the game at Arizona? That comes to us from Jeff Goodman.
Yep, 42-0. And what was great about that story, I got in games when we were up about 20 or more. Everybody in Tucson, Arizona, because I played at the University of Arizona, everyone wanted a Pastner game. That means that the bars were hopping, the restaurants were full because everybody's in good spirits. People are tipping 25 to 30%, not even 20%, wow, because everyone was in such good spirits when we had a game like that. It was a great deal. And in fact, when we were playing LSU one time, this is how great Coach Lute Olson is. God rest his soul. One of the greatest coaches ever, regardless of sport. We were getting drilled by LSU. We were number one in the country. We were getting there. It's a noon game, Arizona time. It was 10 a.m. They had the tiger in the cage. Our guys we're from the beach. A lot of these guys are from Southern California. They've never seen a tiger in a cage. It was crazy. We got our butts handed to us. We were down 30, and it started with the last 3-4 minutes of the game. People were wondering, is Coach Olson going to put me in the game? Because that's really the only left to talk about. And was I going to break my undefeated streak? He never put me in. The next day when we went back to Arizona, to Tucson, I was going past him on the plane, and he grabbed me. He had these huge hands. Coach Olson had these huge hands. He grabbed me, and he says, Josh, I want to apologize for not putting you in, but I wanted you to leave here as an undefeated player at the University of Arizona, so you can tell your kids and grandkids that you never lost a game that you played in. And what kind of guy thinks like that? And just that was pretty cool.
No,
so love him for that.
Wow.
It's kind of, it's a story not a lot of people know about. Arizona was actually one of my favorite schools. I really wanted to go there, but I felt like Coach Olson might retire and I'd be coaching by the time, throughout, my career if I stayed 4 years. So I decided not to. But Josh, you went there. I was all in on Arizona for a minute.
That's good to know.
Said,
yeah.
If it was 5 to 7 years earlier, I promise you, I probably would have committed. So nobody really knows that.
Wow. How about that? All right.
Go ahead,
Josh. No, I mean, we got time, man.
No, I was just going to say that and obviously, John going to North Carolina, that, their program speaks for itself. But a lot of people don't know there was a stretch over 17 years. Coach Olson and the University of Arizona program was the winningest program in all of college basketball over a 17-year span there, and it was in Tucson. What I tell people all the time, and that Coach Olson, there was no backyard recruiting. I mean, he had Sean Elliott was from Tucson, but other than that, you go get a guy like a Mike Bibby who's in Phoenix. But I mean, he really had to be elite at evaluating. And there's a lot of guys that slipped through the cracks, but based on Coach's eye, was able to find guys and build a program without like a heavy backyard right in your, recruiting wise. So, a lot of credit to Coach Olson on that. He was one of the greatest ever.
Hey, John, it had the 3 check marks for me: weather, women, and winning. That's why I wanted to go there.
I like that. That's a good one.
3 boxes checked right there.
Yeah, those are pretty good. Those are pretty good boxes to check. All right, really quickly from each of you, most exciting team to watch so far. 60 seconds or less for both of you. John, go.
I'm going UConn. UConn they've been rolling. They look good. There's a lot of continuity. They're playing well. They're like a well-oiled machine right now. They're fun to watch. They move the ball. They play well. They play hard. Love seeing them play.
I'm not just saying it because
pick one.
I'm not just saying because it's my alma mater, but I just think Arizona has been outstanding to watch this early part. They had a huge win against Michigan State on Thanksgiving Day. They've been dominant. They've dominated to this point on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, we got questions about Kansas. We've got questions about Syracuse. We're going to get to those when we come back. You're watching Field of 68's Last Call on Stadium. Back after this. All right, welcome back to Field of 68's Last Call. We're on Stadium, we're on YouTube, we're everywhere. We're ubiquitous. We're answering all your questions right now. If you have them, get them into the YouTube channel, and we will do our best in the next 20 minutes or so to answer them. Let's get to it. John, this one's for you, bud. How jealous are you of the Memphis bromance tonight between myself and Josh Pastner?
Okay, so I'm about to hit y'all with some crazy facts. I lived in Memphis till I was in 5th grade. I went to White Station Elementary. I used to go see the White Station Elementary high school games. Yeah. I'm in the Memphis bromance too. Yes. I played for the Blackhawks. I don't know if that's still a team, AAU team.
Nah, we don't have that. We have the War Eagles.
Yeah, so that was our rival. I was 2nd Presbyterian Blackhawks. That was our rival. Darren Bates, who played for the Titans, and he's coaching now for. Yeah, that was my teammate, one of my guys. Come on, man. I'm a Memphis guy. My 2 sisters were born in Memphis.
I had no idea.
I went to Balmore Elementary School. I lived by Ridgeway High School. Like that's where I got kind of. So I played until I was 11 years old. I would say Memphis is where I kind of got that edge, and just as you know, the basketball competition in Memphis is, I would say some of the best in the country. So I grew up in that environment, and that just kind of propelled me to, be competitive and the player I am today, man. So I'm down. I love the bromance in Memphis. Like my dad worked at AutoZone, so that's why I was there. So just so you guys know, man.
He got a different job or something, or what?
Well, he got a different job, but he moved back. He just moved back. He lived in Lakeland actually recently, so I was always in Memphis. Until like up and recently. So yeah,
that's Josh. When you think about Memphis, right? Like what do you think of?
Well, you think of first of all, John Martin, you know this. I mean, basketball there is just, there's no place like it in a 30 to 40 mile radius. It's about as intense it is as being the coach of the Yankees or being the Alabama football coach, whatever it may be. It's an intensity because of basketball there. It means everything to everyone in that city. And of course, you think about barbecue. You got tremendous barbecue. You got the blues, but basketball it brings everyone together. Look, my three daughters were born there in Memphis. I love my time in Memphis. Yes, it could eat at you. The job can absolutely eat at you because of the intensity of it. When you lose, it is not easy to be in that city. It's hard because you let a lot of people down when you take an L, and when you win, man, it's like you can be the mayor of the city. So it's such a extreme on both ends of it, but that's what makes the job so special.
I used to be at the Tick Price basketball camp. Kelly Wise was my favorite player coming up. Like, come on, man. Like
Oh
I'm a
man,
Memphis
that's
guy,
crazy,
low key. Yeah, like we used to
bro.
go to
You've
all the
been
games with Tiger
sandbagging
in the
me.
cage. Dun, 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 dun. Like I was there.
Well,
Come on, man.
and John Martin knows this, and you're right, John Henson. I mean, John Martin. I mean, what other places where like when Coach Calipari was thinking about leaving, and he ended up leaving, obviously from Memphis to Kentucky, the absolute devastation in the city, the mourning. I mean, people were the anger. Think about when he was trying to make the decision, and the helicopters were flying over his house, not for
Yeah.
a hostage negotiation, but for an actual coaching
Yep.
search. Is he going to change from Memphis to Kentucky? That's what it matters in that city. It's a total different deal,
Yes, it is.
of just how important basketball is to everybody there.
There's no question, and most people don't understand, because it's kind of it's such a unique thing because it's in a pro market with the Grizzlies, but for so long it was the only thing that Memphis had, and so I think
And they
that's
used
where
to
the
play at the
intensity
Pyramid,
came. Yes, which is now a Bass Pro.
the
But
largest basketball
yes,
in the country.
I'm a
yes.
fisherman. That's the best thing I've ever seen. So
Yeah.
But yeah, that's great. No, man, you sandbagged me, John. I had no idea. This is our second show together. I'm just now finding out
hey,
you
my
were born
dad
in
lived
Memphis.
on Mud Island, like come on. I
That's
used to fish in
crazy,
the
bro.
Mississippi River. We used to catch tires.
That's
Like I
crazy.
was in it.
Bro is a real Memphian. How about that? All right,
Yes,
moving
sir.
on. How concerning, Josh, is Kansas's shooting? That comes us from Kyle.
Yeah, well, Kyle, look, I mean, anytime shooting's a concern for anytime you're not shooting the ball well, and they were able to win this evening, or last night, whatever you want to look at it. Now that we're the next day technically, but they did not play well. Maybe had a letdown after coming back from Maui and playing all those top teams. They do have a stud big man in Hunter Dickinson, but for Dickinson to be really good, they're going to need to have perimeter shooting, and so. Um, uh, I do think it's a concern. There's no doubt about it. They are talented. I do think that then and Baylor will fight for the Big 12, and I do think Kansas will end up winning it. But for them to try to get back to a Final Four, Kyle, Kansas is going to have to shoot the ball better because it's too hard to win 6 games in a row and not shooting the ball really well, because along those 6 games, just like last year when Kansas lost to Arkansas, you're going to have one of those games where it's just a barn burner and it's just back and forth, and you're going to need to make threes to prevail to get through that game. And so, I mean, they got time before they get to the tournament, NCAA tournament, but shooting is going to be the key for them.
John, how about you? Are you concerned about
I
Kansas
agree.
shooting? Or is there something else?
I am concerned, and Coach Passer brought this up. I hadn't even thought about it a lot because obviously I'm a big man, but shooting is a big emphasis on today's game, and you're going to need it to win games. I think just because I played at the program and I've watched it intently over the years, North Carolina was at their best when they had their best shooting teams. I don't think there was a coincidence. That's why I think Cormac Ryan just specifically is so important for them. But yes, down the stretch, you're going to have to win a game. They're going to force you to say, hey, look, we're going to take Hunter out of the game, and you're going to have to make some shots. And it's yet to be seen if Kansas can do that at a high rate to kind of get teams to get off of that strategy. So it's a little bit concerning, but then again, it's Kansas. They'll be there at the end. If the dice roll the right way, they'll be fine. And I'm not overly concerned.
Yeah, it's my own follow up, John, but I want to ask you because you said you are a big man. Is the rim protection there for Kansas?
I guess in college, size around the rim matters more than rim protection. So I think they have the size and length to not just be kind of somewhere, a team that you could just lay the ball up on. But Hunter Dickinson doesn't put the fear into the hearts of anybody. So it's going to be interesting to see, what that does and how that translates later on in the season.
Yeah, the good news for Kansas is that they have the most important position locked down in DeJuan Harris, who's as good as it gets at that position in college basketball. So I trust they'll figure it out. All right, we got more questions that we're going to get to. Going to get to Michigan State, going to get to NIL, all of that and more. You're watching Last Call on Stadium. Back after this. Welcome back to Field of 68's Last Call. We're on Stadium YouTube, answering questions for a few more minutes here tonight. If you have some, get them into the YouTube chat. So I have a little bit of time. Okay, Josh, does Judah Mintz have what it takes at Syracuse to be an All-American 33 tonight against LSU?
If he keeps putting up 33 points, he does. I mean, that's Andrew. If he's scoring like that, he sure does. And for Syracuse to win games, they're going to need Judah Mintz to play like that every night. Now they're going to need, as I mentioned earlier, they're going to need J.J. Starling to really play well, also. But Judah Mintz, he's extremely talented. He put his name in the draft, took his name out, which was a smart decision. To this point, he's having a monster, massive, big-time year to this point. And for Syracuse to be a tournament team, Andrew, Judah Mintz has got to be in discussion to be an All-American. There's no doubt about it.
John, any thoughts on Judah if he's got a real shot at it?
I'm with Coach Pastor. I almost gave him my toast of the night. Going back weeks, just he changes the dynamic of that team. They look like a different team. They're more effective. They're just a lot better team with him on the court. So they're going to go as he goes. If they can finish in the upper echelon of the ACC and he leads the conference, I think All-American is in discussion. But they do need to win at a high level. So I don't know if Syracuse is at that level yet. But as far as, what it takes to be an All-American, if you break that question down, 100%. If he doesn't leave this year, I think next year he's probably a preseason All-American.
Yeah. Okay, a few more here. Josh, we know you are a Big Ten football analyst. That's your role, right? You're a Big Ten football guy. So this is a perfect question for you. Who was the Iowa of college basketball?
Who is the Iowa of
football.
college?
The Iowa football of college basketball, yeah.
Yeah, well, Brady, what I would say, one thing about, I don't know that I couldn't answer that, but I will tell you a name, Brady, that I loved from Iowa back in the day was Dan Gable, one of the greatest wrestling coaches, the greatest wrestling coach and one of the greatest coaches ever. I love Dan Gable, know all about Dan Gable, incredible wrestler. He's an Iowa guy.
Gable.
Shout out to Dan Gable.
That was epic. I mean, you really deflected the living hell out of that one. It's Virginia, right, John? It's got to be Virginia. They're the Iowa football of college basketball.
I'm scrolling down. And I'm looking at points per game average, but also teams that are good. Yeah, I'm looking at a Virginia. Maybe we can go Whew, yeah, let's go Virginia. They're down there with teams
Yeah.
that they shouldn't be around. So it's got to be
Exactly.
Virginia, 100%.
But here's
Maybe
my
well,
thing. Here's my thing though, Brady. That I would tell you that Iowa's playing. I mean, they're in the Big Ten championship game. Am I right?
No, it's not. It's not a. It's not. I don't think he means like a. I don't. He's just.
well,
I think he just means in terms of the way they play.
Right. No, I
that's what
know,
I
but
was gonna.
that's what I'm saying is the way they play, but they're
Yeah,
still winning. And I agree with John. People get on Virginia's thing. I mean, they did win a championship a few years ago. I mean, it's their styles maybe are not real enthusiastic for the fans, maybe, but they bottom line is they win, and in the end, it is all about the scoreboard.
right.
All right, we've already sort of touched on Michigan State in the panic meter segment, so we will skip over that one from Kyle. Josh, this is probably going to take the rest of the time we have, but Brent wants you to describe the recent evolution of recruiting in light of the new NIL. Who is making the shift most effectively, in your opinion?
I can't
Yeah,
wait to
Brent,
hear
what I
this.
would tell you is if John Henson probably wishes he was playing, even though he was extremely successful in the NBA and made a lot of money, he'd probably have made almost as much in college as good as John Henson was. Trust me, if NIL
Yes.
was around back then. But right now, Brent, NIL, it's not about any program. It's how much money you have. It's the donors. It's pay for play. I mean, you can sit here and talk about NIL all you want, name, image, likeness. It's bottom line is pay to play. It's just hidden behind NIL. I think eventually what's going to happen is the student athletes will become employees, or they'll just end up having salaries. That's the way I think it's going to go to at some point.
Well, Josh, I mean, the guy in Nebraska was D. Coldest Crawford. He was doing air conditioner commercials, bro. I mean, there was some NIL there. It has happened.
Yes, it might have happened, but here's my thing: people are getting NIL not because of like some most people are getting NIL based on athletic ability to get you to the school. It's not a situation
Not
of
marketability, not right.
marketability. So, don't you agree, John? I mean, John Henson was playing
It's
today.
it's
He'd be
it's
getting six figures minimum.
yeah, it's the Wild Wild West. Coach Pastor always say I stayed for free, so I would have probably stayed all for NIL. But yeah, I'm so intrigued at how it's developing. Like how kids. I mean, you got guys walking around with $100,000 worth of jewelry on the sideline. It's shocking to me. I love it,
Well,
because you're able to take care of your family, but and it's better for the game too because players stay longer per se. But
Yeah.
I don't know what to say. I don't know what to think of it. I'm at a loss for words, man. It's amazing to me, honestly. The money that's being thrown around to these kids.
Well, we could do a whole show on it, but that is our time. For John Henson, for Josh Pastor, this has been